God's love, elevating, energizing, empowering. Miracles happen when you know that you are loved. Peter Youngren has communicated God's love with millions from every religion and culture. Get ready for your ultimate life because you are loved.
Thanks for the opportunity to share with you today. And I just want to start by saying, please get in touch with me. You can text me. You can email me. You can, of course, call the Grace Prayer Center. Make sure that you receive our magazine, World Impact. And also, we want to make sure that you have these little booklets. Order about 50 or 100 at a time. You see the special mention of all the particulars on that. And this is a 44-page little pamphlet that you can share with others. And by doing that, you're sharing the gospel with them. Let me set you up because this program is the continuation of a previous program. In Mark 8, Jesus, the story is told. It's a very different kind of a story of Jesus healing a blind man. And strangely enough, this is the only time that Jesus, he puts saliva on the man's eyes and he says to him, "Can you see?" And he says, I see something, but I see people and they look like trees. Very strange. Because usually when Jesus healed, it seems to be like an instant healing. This story, of course, is a beautiful story of God's healing love, but it is also a parable, if you wish. It has a deep spiritual truth that it's possible to have our eyes, and I'm talking about our spiritual eyes, touched by Jesus so that we see something. We have some spiritual light come to us, but we don't see things clearly. Particularly this man didn't see people clearly. Strange story. And then Jesus touched him again, and now he could see clearly. But it's this story, it is this text in Mark chapter 8, that's the background, and I'm going to take you right into the teaching now.
I was thinking about that. Trees. I like trees. I was born, lived as a child in a house surrounded by trees. So I like the forest. Trees everywhere. You know, trees are beautiful. They blow in the wind. You drive down the road and there are trees on either side and they look so nice and they give you shade. You can cut them down and turn it into wood and build furniture. If you're cold, you can make firewood. I thought trees are so beautiful. But there's something else. You know, trees are expendable. If they stand in your way, you cut them down and say, "Oh, I need to build something here. Get away, you ugly tree. I don't want to talk to you anymore." I thought that's a little bit how sometimes people can treat other people. We know that they're there, they're beautiful, the people of the world, all the different nationalities, all the different dress and the food. It's so interesting, but it's just trees. It's trees. So Jesus touched him again, and he saw clearly. See, I thought about this. The Bible is full of examples of people who look like trees to their contemporaries. I think of all the nameless lepers. You know, leper back in that time was considered someone who was judged and condemned by God. You shouldn't get close to such a person. It was just like, oh, there's a leper. It's just like trees. Woman with the issue of blood, it's just an unimportant woman, just over here somewhere. You know, the centurion, Matthew, the tax collector, he's bad. He's a rotten character. He can't be with us holy people. The Samaritan woman, just those Samaritans, they're over there, just trees. And they didn't see them for the intrinsic value. But then Jesus came, and he saw them as people. See, the Pharisees called Matthew the tax collector, the sinner, the dog. But Jesus said, Matthew. And Matthew said, he knows me. I'm a somebody. Every human being has an intrinsic great value. You were created in the image of God. God put something of himself in you. You are precious. You are valuable. You are important. In our campaigns, we have a big sign across the platform in the back. It says, you are loved. Nothing can separate you from the love of God in Christ Jesus. Not your failure, not your your success, not your best, not your worst, because God has loved you with an everlasting love. See, the Pharisees, they got mad and said, Jesus makes too much out of people. He makes too much out of it. Makes too much fuss over them. So Jesus said, well, this is how God is. Even if there's 99 sheep and one walks away, the Father will go till he finds it. That's how the Father feels about people, just like the shepherd feels about the sheep. Or a woman who lost a diamond in her necklace and it doesn't look right anymore. It's like something is missing. And she will go sweeping and looking and searching till she finds it. Jesus said, that's God. That's how he feels about people. Sometimes I need to look at people. I've told the story one time in Indonesia. We were under severe attack. And you know, that happens sometimes. It was one of those severe attacks. When I landed in the city, they said that our campaign was causing such unrest that it had actually caused the stock market in Jakarta to take a dive. I'm not kidding you. This is what they said in the newspaper. I don't believe for a word what they were saying, but that's what they said, because there was a threat of rioting and there were death threats. And so they were actually marching in the street where I was going to be, and it was just bad. It was bad. And finally we got the meeting going, and then to make things worse, it started to rain. And I said, well, God, can't you at least be in charge of the rain? I didn't say it quite like that, but I felt like, okay, we know that those who are against the gospel, they might riot. We know that there's going to be opposition, but God, what about the rain here? We have an outdoor meeting. We are not in any nice church buildings. There's no buildings big enough to hold the crowd. So I was feeling a little bit grumpy. And anyhow, it had stopped raining just before the meeting, but the field we were on was just covered in mud. And I'm standing on the platform. I'm holding my Bible. And I'm thinking, look at this mess. Look at this messy, big, grassy field. Feeling sorry for myself. Started to feel like a little pious. You know, I'm really serving God. Do people really know what I'm doing out here in this rain and standing in this mud? But you know, the Lord doesn't put up with grumpiness like that. So he spoke to my spirit. He says, look at the people. So I walked over to the edge of the platform, and people were coming in through different entrances, and I saw this family carrying a Muslim man on a bed. He was lame, obviously. And they were bare feet. And in fact, the water was splashing, you know, between their toes. And they didn't see me. I'm just standing looking at them. And then they're trying to see, is there a dry spot somewhere we can put the bed? And so they kind of walked around, and way down there they found a spot. And I began to cry a little bit. And I had God say to me, can you see how much I love that man? I was thinking, oh God, you love that man. And I started to feel I've been so grumpy here about the rain. He doesn't look grumpy about the rain. His friends are carrying him on the bed. They don't look grumpy. They're just anxious to find a place. He said to me, look at them. I love those people. I said, oh God, you love those people? But then the thought came to me. I felt the God say a second time, Peter, I love you too. Oh, when I heard that, I got so happy. You know, even a preacher can forget how much God loves you. I said, God, you love me. I said, I got all happy, and I marched back to the platform, and I tell you, I preached like a man on fire. I was like a lion that came out of my cage. See, when I saw the people with Christ in my eyes, I saw myself. He touched the man a second time and made him look up. That's what Jesus did to the disciples in John 4:35. He says, don't you have a saying? It is still 4 months until harvest. I tell you, open your eyes and look at the fields. They are ripe for harvest. They were thinking, no, it's not now. There's always procrastination, always delay. But we are saying it's now. Today is the time. Now is the assignment. We cannot force people to receive Christ. We cannot go against people's wills. But I'll tell you something, if people are willing to receive Christ, no devil in hell can stop someone. No devil in hell can stop us from taking territory. Don't believe that stuff. No, no. The gospel is the power of God. And no one who is willing to believe can be stopped. Let's obey the word of Jesus in Matthew 9:37. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Jesus never says the harvest is a problem. We sometimes say, oh, there's so much problem and people are not willing and people are resisting. We talk about the harvest as if the harvest was a problem. Jesus does not give that a hint of credibility. He says the harvest is great, but it's labors. And so I've announced 7 focuses, 7 pillars. Number 1, we are launching World Impact Gospel Seminary. Now, we have had a Bible school since 1988. We have had 3,300 graduates. We have campuses right now in Kenya, Tanzania, and in Indonesia. We have graduates going out. We stopped the training here in 2015. I laid it down. I didn't know why. I just felt the Lord said, lay it down. Well, we have continued on the other campuses. We have added a campus in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where we are supplying the course material for the school there. And so we've been doing this, but then as I began to ponder these facts that I've shared with you about the world, about the need of the world, and how so much is happening to re-reach and re-reach Christians, I said, Lord, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What is our purpose? I said to Tina, maybe I should retire. And she laughed and said, you're not going to last a week because the fire is burning stronger than ever. So then I said, well, because this issue is so big, I began to see that it's not enough to send out newsletters. It's not enough to just have a Bible school. It's not enough to go on television and talk about the need. We want to establish a center where there's research and higher education to train and bring understanding about the situation in the world, that we might have an historical impact, not just by what we do, but how we influence others. And so at first I called it a university, but I said, no, that'll come later on. Right now, let's stick with the word seminary. And we have made application to the government. We began consulting with the government 2 months ago. So we expect, given to us by the Canadian government, the right to grant degrees, starting with a bachelor degree, then a master's degree and doctoral degrees right out of this place. It means we're going to add some classrooms. We're going to build a library and research center where students can carry on the research. We are searching for the suitable professors who believe the gospel like we do, but have the accreditation. We want this place to be a center to make a change and a dent, and even more than a dent, an impact on human history, to change the trends, to help the church to get out of a cocoon where we see people as trees maybe. We don't see those people far away, but when we say, Christ has anointed my eyes and I see the world, I lift up my eyes and say, yes. Are you ready for this vision?
I'm going to get you right back into the teaching there. This is very serious. Jesus gave a great commission. He made it very simple. It's in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's in the opening part of the book of Acts. And basically, you could summarize it in the words, you have a world to win. And then he gave us the power to accomplish that. That is why the Holy Spirit came up on the believers. And let's just put that chart up for a moment again there, Mark. On my left, you can see this, the situation I've been discussing here. In spite of this, how little is happening to touch the world. Put the second chart up there. Where's missions work happening? And you see that the vast majority of missions work is still happening among Christians. We keep evangelizing and re-evangelizing the same people. And that is a great concern. And that's the reason why World Impact Ministries exist. And that's the reason why we are launching the World Impact Gospel Seminary. And so much more. I'll talk a little bit about it as we come, but I want to also say to you, contact me. Let me hear from you. You can text me. You can online. You see all the ways we can connect. Of course, the Grace Prayer Center. And thank you for what you're doing, but we also want to pray and believe with you. But right now, let's get back to the teaching.
Are you ready to run with it? Are you ready to go with it? I come to realize that the Lord has helped me to train so many people. I've been working on our dear beloved Dean Morris. You know, he just did his first campaign. First time. He was very scared. He was telling me I was scared. Went through with him, sitting through the summer and saying, now I'm mentoring you so that you know that when you go out and do a festival among Muslims as he was, it's not like preaching in church. You know, church preaching is really easy. Sometimes I preach good, sometimes I preach a little bit bad, and I say to Tina, that wasn't too good today, and other times she says, oh, you were so good. I feel better then, you know. But good or bad, preaching in church is kind of easy. If I preach good, you'll say at the door, oh, Pastor, that was so wonderful. Everybody's happy. But when you go and stand in front of like 10,000 Muslims, they don't care if your sermon is good or not. They just want to know one thing. When you finish talking, man, is your Jesus going to show up and do wonders here? That's all they want to know. That's all they want to know. So I said, Dean, you're under pressure now. You're a good preacher. Dean, our associate pastor, Pastor Nathan, and I enjoy having him preach. He's got illustrations. He's wild. He dances around the platform. I mean, he's exciting. I said, Dean, it's not going to cut it. When you go out among the Buddhists, they don't care. You can dance around and swing your belly around. They're not going to be impressed. They're going to say, well, whatever. They got their own religion. Say, Jesus has got to show up. It's a whole other service. So he was scared. He said, Peter, like you told me, though I was praying for the blind, I kept praying and praying because I told him, don't just pray, heal the blind, heal the lung problem, heal the foot, heal the nose, heal the elbow, heal the kidney, heal the this. I said, just ask God what you should focus in on and just focus till you break through. So then he said, then I said, now, how many received your sight? He said, I'm thinking nobody's going to raise their hand. And then he said, 15, 16 people had been healed in their eyesight. He was shocked. This actually works. That's what I've been telling you. That's what T.L. Osborne told me. What I can do, you can do. And that's what I'm telling pastors around the world. If Peter Youngren can do it, you can do it. Well, we want to train. We want to train many. And that'll be the part of the seminar. Second, World Impact Bible campuses will be expanding. We have 3 of our own locations. One other, a 4th one that we give the teaching. We want to go to the Chinese world. I'm thinking maybe we should have one of our institutes in Israel. Maybe we should have one somewhere in the Middle East, in the Arabian world. Let's take the gospel to the whole world. Media, number 3. We will continue that. Number 4, I'm believing God to accelerate gospel festivals. I want to raise up starting with 10 others, then 30, and then 100 others that can do gospel festivals like we do them. Dean is number 1 now. I said, Dean, I've raised up many through the years, but this new group of people, I said, Dean, you can go and do it now. And he's hooked. It's like a drug. Pastor Anthony told me when I was holding my first festival, you said to me, Anthony, when you stand there preaching the gospel and you ask Jesus to confirm it with miracles and you see him do it, you are hooked for life. So I said, don't do it unless you want to get hooked for life, because it'll be like a drug in you. You say, I need to have it. I can't be happy with church as normal. I can't just be happy singing songs and kumbaya and hold hands. I know this gospel is the power of God. And he said, I'm hooked. I'm damaged for life. Number 5, we already have this, but we teach pastors. I've taught 374,000 pastors. We will invite them into a fellowship, including business leaders. We will continue to reach and teach political and religious leaders. I've said to Tina, I don't know anybody in the world that has the opportunity that we do systematically, many times throughout the year, to talk to Buddhist leaders, Hindu leaders, Muslim leaders, presidents, prime ministers, governors, mayors. Sometimes they come and meet me at the airport when I land. And I said, I'm wasting it. They give me their name card. They say, stay in touch. But I have nothing to offer them. We share the message. We have a good meeting. I said, let's make disciples of nations. And could it be that God has put in my hands, and I can train others to do it, that we can reach nations by starting sometimes with the governor, the premier, the mayor. We can start sometimes with the president of the country, whatever level God gives us, because we're wasting. We need the resources to do this. You know, sometimes I feel I'm a little slow, but I'm waking up to it. And then, of course, we want to mobilize believers so believers get excited about this. Sometimes we're thinking, oh, God bless me. God, heal my little toe. Heal this. I tell you, some of you will be healed in your toe before you even ask for it. When you get focused on the world, you say, oh, what happened to my head? I was so concerned for years about my migraine headache. Oh, that got healed just kind of on autopilot when we get focused on Jesus and his vision. This blind man was touched and restored outside Bethsaida. You know, there are many towns like Bethlehem, which means the house of bread. Bethany, which means the house of figs. Bethel means the house of God. And Bethsaida means the house of the hunt. Interesting. I was in Bethsaida, just ruins left. It's an old city, 3,000 years old, but just ruins. And it says here that Jesus took the blind man and he pulled him out of the house of the hunt. And when you get out of there, there's a nice grassy field. Many think that's where the multiplication of the bread happened in a beautiful river. And he healed him outside. I thought, what does that mean? Why couldn't Jesus just heal him in the town? Why did he have to take him out? Well, you know, in the Bible, everything has a meaning. The house of the hunt to me, Bethsaida, which of course Jesus said, Bethsaida, you missed it. You weren't impressed with the miracles. You didn't open your heart. To me, it's a picture of religion. Religion is always on a hunt. We're hunting for the blessing. Sometimes people even do evangelism. They're hunting for souls, hunting for how many scalps they can get, so to speak. Hunting for the anointing, hunting for the blessing. But you see, as long as we think that things are going to happen because we are on the hunt for them, we're missing it. Jesus had to take him outside the house of the hunt, where there was a beautiful grassy field, and there he healed the man. And that reminded me, as we launch this, now stepping up, accelerating to a new level, we know that's going to take a lot of resources, personnel. It's going to take finances. We believe for everybody to be a VIP partner with us, but I said I also believe God to give us 300 people that will give $10,000 every year. That will help us to run by the vision. We're frugal. I'm not tight, but I want every dollar to be used to its maximum. And if we need to spend, we spend for souls, but I'm not frivolously doing things. And so I thought to myself, it's not going to happen by the hunt. It's not going to happen by us chasing after blessing or financial increase. It's going to happen on the grassy field of the finished work of Jesus, where grace is flowing, grace for miracles, grace for increase, grace for finances. Everything is by the blessing and the finished work of Jesus Christ. So people are important. I don't know why I've always been thinking about people. You know, sometimes I'm getting so old now, I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? It started when I first got saved. I went to this Bible school. You know, when I came to like a Pentecostal, like an old-fashioned Pentecostal Bible school in Rhode Island. I was the coolest guy there. Can you imagine that? I mean, in those days, it wasn't skinny jeans. It was bell-bottom. They were skinny up here, and then like way big. Well, those Pentecostal boys in that Pentecostal Bible school had never seen such cool corduroy and others, just big bell-bottoms, you know. And I had hair over my ears. Some of them thought that was sinful. That was like a road to hell. I had to lick my finger and put the hair back just for the class, you know. And then it was I just looked strange. I was cool, you know. Now it looks like I'm wearing Kim Jong-un pants or something here, not real big ones, but you know. But you see, so this is hard for some of you to believe. It was really cool. I looked very cool. People say, oh, he looks different. So I didn't look very spiritual. I realized afterwards I didn't look like one of the dedicated boys. And so we had chapel services in a room like this. And one day, we had this gardener. All he did was fix the garden and cut the grass. But he was kind of a spiritual man. And once in a blue moon, like once a year, he'd prophesy. And here I am, bell-bottom Peter, with too long hair, and I saw him. His name was Brother Johnson. He was always out there, you know, raking. He got to preach one chapel service a year. And I'm sitting way in the back. I hear he picks out one service one student among 350. Well, he's not coming for me anyhow. Everybody knows how worldly I am. And he starts moving down. You know, there's Brother Johnson. I said, oh no, I'm putting my head down. And sure enough, he reaches in for me. I said, how does he even know I'm here? And he begins to speak a word to me. See, about the world. I'm thinking, this is weird. I don't want to be singled out. Please leave me alone. Then we had some month later, you know, we would have a chapel service from 11 to 12. And at 12, we would all run to eat, you know, because we're hungry. Young guys, we're hungry. With this particular time, I only know how long time it took because I remember when I got back to my room at about 3 o'clock, something happened. I saw a vision that I always carried with me. And on the vision, I saw the continents of the world, South America, Africa, Australia, all the continents, popped up like on a screen. And there were people. It wasn't like I could see the country lines or the rivers. It was just covered with people. And they looked very sad. Very sad. Their heads were hanging down. And I remember all I was saying, Jesus Christ, your blood cleanses the world. I kept saying that. I don't know where that came from. Jesus, your blood cleanses. And then, as I was watching this, the first continent came, and I saw a hand came like whoosh. And you could see the wind draft out of the fingers. Whoosh. And the people's faces changed to this incredible joy. And then that continent disappeared. Then the next one came, same thing, and then the hand came. And it went through all the continents again and again. And inside of me, I heard the Lord say, you're going to see this. My hand is going to sweep over the continents of the world, and you're going to see it. I never forgot that. And so, here I stand today. You could say that in South America, certain other parts of the world, that this has kind of been fulfilled. But I believe it's still going to be fulfilled for so many others. And I'm so glad to have such a beautiful church family that can be a base for this, and partners and friends across our nation, but across the world.
Well, I'm just down to a few seconds. I wanted you to hear that message and hear that vision that had a profound effect on my life. I believe we're living in one of the most important times, if not the most important time in world history. There are so many voices calling for our attention, but I want to be a voice that says to you, would you join this gospel revolution? Would you join this gospel movement? Let's do what Jesus told us to do. We have the greatest message in the world. And you see the information, how you can contact me and get the information about the seminary coming up, about all the other things you've seen there through the program. Remember, you're loved.
Thank you. Your participation makes this global gospel ministry possible. To share your prayer request or to help bring the gospel to those who have never heard it, call 416-745-1820. You can give at www.peteryoungren.org or send your gift to World Impact Ministries at P.O. Box 62039 RPO Victoria Terrace, North York, Ontario, M4A 2W1, or P.O. Box 433 Winchester, Kentucky 40392-9800. Together, let's give everyone a chance to know God's love in Jesus Christ.